We're back on Born Before 64, and Chris was explaining not only the architecture, but, you know, one of the questions I have was that you're an organization, you're a nonprofit organization, similar to like Catholic Charities, but what's the name of the organization?
Ocean Grove is run, and this facility is run by the Ocean Grove Camp Meeting Association.
Camp Meeting.
Correct.
And they used to, can we talk a little bit about that, because how it started is really interesting. It started at, there wasn't anything here at one time?
Correct. The Ocean Grove and the Ocean Grove Camp Meeting Association was founded by a group of Methodist ministers and lay people, led primarily by a gentleman by the name of Reverend William Osborne, who would actually go on to found additional camp meetings across the world, but Ocean Grove is arguably his most successful. In addition to being very spiritually minded, they were also astute businessmen.
Smart, very smart.
Yes.
Okay.
And the Methodist holiness movement, of which Ocean Grove was a part, was a large response to the atrocities that the nation had just witnessed during the Civil War.
Okay.
And that, combined with the growth of recreation, was sort of the perfect groundswell for the creation of Ocean Grove.
Right. And so they originally people started coming here and they camped with actual tents, right?
Correct. And to this day, there are still 114 tent homes around the auditorium that carry on that tradition.
And we're going to see that after this.
Yes.
Because I was amazed that you can't rent one, you can't buy one. It's handed down, am I right?
Correct. There's a 10 to 12 year waiting list to get one.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most desirable piece of real estate in Ocean Grove.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what amazes me about this little town, and we're going to be also going down to look at the boardwalk that was destroyed during Sandy, the hurricane, and we're going to be talking about that as well, right, Bob?
Yes, we are.
One of who are we going to be talking to?
Yep, we're going to be talking to Jack Green. He is one of the builders in town here, and he also owns the Jack Green Realty.
Right.
And he's pretty instrumental in rebuilding the boardwalk, as well as directly after the storm, there were several different companies that came in here and helped, and we'll show you outside how the roof is patched up. Right. And they came in immediately after the storm and patched the roof to make sure that we didn't get any additional water damage and stuff like that.
Now, is the roof, are you still trying to fix the roof, though?
Yes, the roofing project is ongoing. Most of the framing has been completed.
Right.
They have reframed it and added additional strapping and support to fortify it against a storm as strong as Sandy. Right now, the biggest delay is in the materials. The roofing material is actually a tin-coated stainless steel roofing material.
And where do you get that
Well,
from?
the company that was manufacturing it went out of business.
Oh.
The tooling to create the roofing was purchased by another firm, and it's taken that company a little bit longer than originally anticipated to create the stainless steel panels for the roof, because they've obviously been, creating an awful lot of roofing for this area in general. It's been, the process of making this particular type of roofing isn't
like something that you would do every day.
Right, correct. It's
historical more so than
correct.
it would be. Do you still need contributions coming in?
Yes. Yes.
And where can people go, website-wise or whatever, to be able to find out more information? Because I think that's really important, don't you?
Yes. There are 2 websites where people can find information. The primary one for the recovery from the storm is the Together campaign, and that website is www.togetherog.com, and also the Camp Meeting Association's main webpage, which is www.oceangrove.org.
Well, I'm on a lot of Christian television and also radio, and I know that everyone that I know that I've called has said, let's help them.
Right.
Because they believe in keeping historical churches and auditoriums and anything that has to do with helping others. They're there for us.
What I think is interesting for your listeners to understand as well is that,
And our viewers.
and your viewers, sorry, is that Ocean Grove is a nonprofit organization that actually owns the land. They are not one of the municipalities, so when FEMA stepped in immediately after the storm and wanted to know how they can help, every one of the towns around Ocean Grove did receive money from FEMA, and Ocean Grove has been denied. So that's a little bit of the reason, because they're independently owned, they're not a municipality. So what the Ocean Grove community is trying to do is to raise the money to rebuild the boardwalk, to help with the roof here on the auditorium themselves. Well,
That's pretty sad when you think about it.
It's very difficult at times to be able to, and when we go down to the beach, you'll actually see the amazing progress that has been accomplished already, just by independent donations from the people in the town.
And we've been very blessed here recently since Sandy, with an outpouring of support through different organizations as well. The folks from Calvary Chapel in Old Bridge, New Jersey, they produce a summer concert series here called Bridge Fest.
Right.
And they have been from the day or two after Sandy up until just this past week, working out of our facilities, helping us with demolition of the boardwalk, and as well as they used Ocean Grove because we were much less affected than a lot of other communities in the Jersey Shore.
Right.
They worked out of here as a base of operations and used our facilities to stage relief workers that did tremendous work down in Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, and up in the Bayshore area, Keensburg, Keyport.
Right.
Directly behind the auditorium, we have a youth temple.
Okay.
They actually had sleeping bags on the floor in the youth temple
Wow.
for months.
Wow.
For months. So it was really, they went out of their way to really help out many communities down here.
This must be, as far as a auditorium, I'm looking around just at the lighting and how you change the lights and how you do different things to keep my question, the other question I have is, besides the lighting, is how do you have to stain the wood at all, or is there a permanent stain on the wood that you don't have to do anything to it?
No, the wood is actually all protected. In 1993, the building underwent an extensive restoration in anticipation of the centennial in 1994. As part of that, they removed all of this seating and built scaffolding. They sanded, power washed, and reapplied tung oil to the ceiling.
Wow. Wow. Now, you told me during the break that in order to change a light bulb, right, tell us how you do it.
Well, from where we're sitting to the ceiling is approximately 55 feet.
Okay.
It's very hard to find a 55-foot tall ladder.
I can imagine.
So,
I can imagine.
the system that they devised, and this was quite ingenious for the time, given how early it was in electrical lighting, along each one of these rows of light bulbs follows the steel and iron trusses that are actually composed of the building structure, and there's a catwalk suspended next to them. So what we do is we have one person down here on the main floor and another person up in the attic with a walkie-talkie.
Right.
And you go along, and once you've done it, I've worked here for over 15 years. So once you've done it once or twice, you sort of get a rhythm as to, you can guess pretty accurately where the burnt out light bulb is. And you'll jiggle a light bulb, and they'll tell you, okay, no, 4 more light bulbs to the north or 4 more light bulbs to the south.
Is it scary up there?
If you don't like heights, it's scary.
I mean, it's protected, so you're not going to fall.
Right,
easily.
correct,
Okay.
yes.
So where's the attic in those?
The attic is actually directly over us. It's above this ceiling.
Okay.
And there's another space up there whose volume is almost similar to this. There's from the ceiling to the peak of the roof is another 30 feet.
Oh wow! So you don't have to.
No.
Down
No, not at all.
Wow.
The height of the main tower out front, I believe, is 95 feet.
Now, if you have to go up into the bell tower, which, by the way, they're not bells that you ring like this, they're automated.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct.
Did they ever have a time when they weren't automated?
There is
They had to
actually,
be.
yes, there is actually an acoustic bell, for lack of a better term,
Right.
in the building that we use directly before each service as a call to worship.
Right. And how long
One of
were
my
you-
favorite things to do, by the way, is
Really?
ring that bell.
Well,
Yes.
I have to tell you, when I lived in England, I actually got to go into the bell tower, and I learned how to ring the bells with 2 or 3 other people, which is an experience in a lifetime. And I work with the same gentleman that you work with, the Verdun
Corporation. Yep.
Corporation.
Yep.
And they're the largest bell company in the United States, from France. They're friends of mine, and they're actually located in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. So that was really, and they do the automated part of it too. So what's the most exciting, I mean, I'm just so excited about being in here, but what is the most exciting thing you've ever done in this worship service?
Oh,
or this
boy, that's
gathering space?
That's a really tough question to answer. I would have to say that I have a kind of like a not a top 10 list, but a top list, because it's a big list.
Okay.
Definitely, in terms of worship services, the Will Graham celebration in 2011 was absolutely amazing. Matthew West was here, the Newsboys, a rapper by the name of Flame, and that event actually took place during what had been predicted to be the apocalypse by Harold Camping.
Oh, wow.
And obviously none of the people here were supporting of that theology.
Right.
And Matthew West actually opened the concert with a cover of REM's "It's the End of the World as We Know It," and I Feel Fine.
Oh, wow.
And the audience just ate it up.
I
It
can
was
imagine.
amazing. It was amazing. We actually took out most of the seats up here,
Right.
so that there was an area for an altar call, so that when people accepted Jesus at the end of the service,
Right.
they all came down here. It was one of the most beautiful things that I've witnessed in terms of a Christian event here. Building off of that, too, in terms of Christian events here, also that year, we did on 9/11, because September 11th, the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks was on a Sunday. We did a 9/11 remembrance service, and we had a number of the first responders that were at Ground Zero, a chaplain from Ground Zero, the Secretary of State of New Jersey was here, as well as a large contingency of local ministers. And I would have to say that out of every single service that we've ever produced here, since I've been here, and like I said, I've been here for over 15 years, I felt at the end of that service like we had hit a grand slam home run every inning of a baseball game.
Wow.
It was just one of the most moving, beautiful services I have ever witnessed in this building.
My question, the choir, that's a choir loft. there.
Correct.
How many choir members on a regular basis for each service are there?
Our core group of choir members is right around 100.
100?
And then the second Sunday in July every year, we do a choir festival, and choirs come from all around the tri-state area, from as far away. We've had choirs come for the choir festival from as far away as California and
What
Nevada.
about Cincinnati?
I have to check.
I have to talk to you about this seriously, because one of the biggest children's choir.
Really?
From Cincinnati. She is the gospel. She's on Christian radio
Okay.
and television. Her name is P.N. Everson Price.
Okay.
And she is a gospel singer herself. And I'm going to talk to her about this. She needs to come.
Well, and I think registration's still available for
Then I'm gonna
2013.
I'm going to talk to her about it.
And there's over 1,000 people in the choir.
Wow.
And the whole building is almost full, and it's an absolutely beautiful thing to witness, to hear that many voices lifting up to the Lord.
And what's really interesting is, as Chris explained before, that up in the balcony here, all the windows open up and all the doors open up, so you can actually hear the choir in both of the side towns
I can imagine.
during Choir Fest.
We have to take a short break, and we'll be right back on Born Before 64.